If you work across time zones, borders and cultures, this is the show for you. This is Leonardo from Shanghai and welcome to the International Business Podcast. Today we discuss the digital Chinese ecosystem. The digital economy in China, contributing to 10% of the GDP in 2023, is a critical component of national development. China's commitment to advancing its digital economy includes massive investments in emerging technologies like AI, blockchain and 5G. This strategic focus aims to position China as a leader in the global digital economy. Let's connect with today's guest to learn more about this dynamic sector. Ashley is a serial entrepreneur, award-winning digital expert and book author. Recognized by Thinkers 50 as a guru on fast-evolving trends in China. She's a sought-after professional speaker covering topics around customer centricity, the future of retail and technology in action. To learn more about Ashley, check the show notes for a detailed overview of her background. How did it all start?
Chinese digital ecosystems, what are they and why shall you learn about them? Well, first of all, about 20 years ago, China's digital landscape started evolving very, very fast. And Chinese companies in a variety of sectors, from e-commerce to banking to search, started becoming big, complex, smart, all very, very fast, training on large quantities of data and consumer behaviors, evolving together with the consumers, and ultimately becoming true, real tech ecosystems. Today, we have many more of them, but we started with just three. BAT. B stands for Baidu, A for Alibaba, and T for Tencent. So Baidu used to do a lot of search, but today they do many things, including, for instance, AI, hardware, and more. Alibaba, they started with e-commerce, B2B e-commerce actually, and later on went into B2C, started building tons and tons of data analytics centers. Later on they went into banking as well. Same with Tencent. They started with gaming and entertainment, moved on to social media, right? The WeChat, the famous WeChat. And then, of course, they also started doing banking and more and cloud services and all that. So we started with BAT, and today we have a lot more. We have ByteDance, for example, famous for Douyin and TikTok and a couple of other platforms. Meituan, right, great food delivery and lifestyle services. We have Pinduoduo, right, the community group buying, and Ping An, for instance, right, in the financial and insurance sector. So these huge companies, why are they ecosystems and what can we learn from them? Well, they are ecosystems because, first of all, these are the companies that focus on the customer. They put customer centricity at the center, or human centricity, which is even more personalized, even more focused on the human kind of concept. Number two, they influence industries beyond just their vertical industry. They influence the whole value chain. Beyond all that, they are real tech companies. So for example, Meituan is not just a delivery something. It is a tech company first, and then they choose sectors that they ultimately inject themselves into. The same with Ping An, right? Not just banking or insurance. They actually, again, a tech company first. And these are real ecosystems. Why do we need to learn from them? Because China at this stage has the most developed and integrated ecosystems. And because of the consumers that they have, because of the amount of data, because of the creativity and the speed of the market to test things that work, get rid of things that don't work, keep evolving, keep pushing forward, implementing technology at scale and with speed, these ecosystems have a lot to share with their global counterparts, both successes and failures as well. And as mentioned, not all ecosystems are created alike. There are some that are platform-based, for example, like Alibaba. They are more a platform providing opportunities for others to be doing business on this platform. There are industry-based ecosystems such as, for instance, in China, as mentioned, Ping An, or outside of China, companies like Samsung, or blended ecosystems like Tencent that do both platform and industry-based innovation and drive the whole market forward. So these are ecosystems in China, super interesting, exciting to see, to learn from their successes and failures in order to bring some of those lessons back home and get inspired, get also some insights from markets that work in some ways similar to China.
WeChat began as a messaging platform and quickly evolved. Inspired by WhatsApp's popularity, Tencent aimed to create a super app that combined text, voice, video, and more. Launched in 2011, its success stems from diverse offerings beyond simply chatting with people. These are e-commerce and WeChat Pay, for instance, which has revolutionized digital payments in China.
WeChat, let's deep dive into what this super app is all about. You've heard about it, but maybe you're still confused and haven't seen all the functions in action. Let's start with the fact that there are two different WeChats. First of all, there's Chinese Weixin, which is a proper app that has a lot of functions, and then there is this foreign version, international version, which is called WeChat. So today when I refer to WeChat, I actually mean the Chinese Weixin. Why? Because the international version of WeChat has a lot fewer functions. Right now, over the years, it has added functions. It's not as bare-boned as it used to be, but nonetheless, the Chinese proper app Weixin has a lot more. So what does WeChat ultimately have? It has mini programs. So the mini program is like an app within an app. WeChat itself is an app. Inside that app, you have many mini programs. Actually, WeChat was the first company to launch it. When they launched it a couple of years back, it was not successful. People didn't know what to do with it. There were not many developers that could create great products with this open API. But now it is truly something that makes WeChat unique, cool, and full of options. So basically, it is WeChat's internal kind of Apple store, right? And today we have mini programs not only on WeChat, but actually on all other platforms, including, for example, Douyin, which is Chinese TikTok, Alipay, right, and many others. So a mini program is a sub-application within WeChat ecosystem that allows you to access a lot of different services. Think about the whole Apple Store loaded into that. Functionality, most of the companies are using it for e-commerce function. There's also games, there's tools. For example, you can check your skin color, you can watch night skies, etc. Some of them are paid, some of them are free, and of course, design of this mini program is lightweight, so it's under 10 megabytes, so easy to access through scanning QR codes, and ultimately it's very common to share it in your chats and with friends, etc. So the use cases are typically for services. For example, you want to order food or book tickets or play some casual games, or for marketing, right? For checking out, purchasing something, and completing the process like CRM. Then on WeChat, beyond just that, we have Moments. So Moments is like your wall, and you get news from your friends. You can publish your own updates. So it's very similar function to, let's say, Facebook wall. Functionality, you can have ads. You can advertise on your followers' walls. You can reach new people as well. You can advertise websites. You can advertise mini programs. You can advertise official accounts, etc. So many brands are using Moment advertising for their promotion and product launches to increase that visibility. The next function is, of course, WeChat articles. So if you have an official account, an official account is like an organizational account, and you have several types of those accounts, you also can publish articles. And the article is a long format content piece that ultimately has a call to action, that has information. You can add QR codes to it. So it is typically launched in order to promote a product or service. And many businesses are using it exactly for that. When it comes to official accounts, beyond just official accounts, we also have WeChat Pay, right? So this is something where you don't only scan a code and pay for the products that you just bought, but you can actually invest. You can donate to charity. You can track your expenses. So WeChat Pay is an integrated finance management system, including payments, including investments, including insurances, anything and everything to do with your money. This is your WeChat Pay. Beyond all that, we have WeChat groups where you can come together with friends, but also a lot of companies within mainland China, big and small, from somebody like Watson to your neighborhood, let's say 7-Eleven, they're using WeChat groups to communicate their promotions, updates, and build what they call the private pool. So you are in this private group and you get personalized recommendations and stuff. So WeChat very often within China is actually also referred to as the operating system for life. So it's like you've got iOS, but you also have WeChat OS. You can complete everything and anything you want on this one app.
If you're looking for more, check out the subscriber-only feed. For the cost of 1 cup of coffee per month, you'll gain access to the full archive and bonus subscriber-only episodes, in addition to the regular ones. Check the link in the description. WeChat isn't the only app, of course. People familiar with the digital landscape will know Weibo, which, by the way, is it still relevant? A more recent player is Little Red Book, Xiaohongshu in Chinese.
Weibo or Xiaohongshu? You must have heard about Weibo, you must have heard about Red or Xiaohongshu. So what's going on in China? Well, Weibo is a microblogging platform. Xiaohongshu is the lifestyle experiences sharing platform. And today we're seeing the rise of Red and the decline of Weibo. If we look at Weibo's financial report for the second quarter of 2024, we see that the monthly active users reached 583 million people. When it comes to year-over-year decline in the total revenue, we see about 1% decline. Advertising revenue has also declined about 3%. So the activity of the users is shrinking, the advertising revenue is shrinking as well. And that is a direct correlation with the rise of other platforms. So we today have Kuaishou, we have Douyin, we have Xiaohongshu. So they are kind of eating away Weibo's dominance. So today, do people go to Weibo? Yes, to check out some trends, read the gossip from influencers and celebrities. But if you really want to find something, if you want to get first-hand experience, you go to Xiaohongshu. If you want to get just entertained, you typically go to Douyin. If you want to buy something cheap, you go to platforms like Pinduoduo, you go to Douyin. You basically have a lot of options where you can socialize and get entertained and get educated, etc. So Weibo is less relevant. And maybe one of the big reasons is because they have kind of missed the short video train in so many ways. Looking at the value of users, we see that Xiaohongshu's user is valued at about $66 per one, while Weibo's user value is only about $3.5. And another important number to remember is that as of August 2024, Weibo's market capitalization has fallen to less than $2 billion. This is a decline of over 90% from its peak of $32.4 billion. So to answer the question, is it Weibo, Xiaohongshu, is Weibo still relevant? I would vote Red any day.
China is the world's largest e-commerce market, with platforms like Alibaba, JD, and Pinduoduo dominating. Multinational corporations utilize these platforms to reach Chinese consumers directly, often bypassing traditional retail channels. Adapting to local standards and navigating legal frameworks can be daunting, but the allure of this market is incredible. Ashley helps companies learning from China and for China. What does it mean?
Well, we help various companies to learn from China and learn for China. When it comes to learning for China, then typically it comes in the form of research. For instance, you want to understand your consumer better, or you want to understand your industry a lot better in order to not be left behind. China is changing so fast. Right now, the economy is not doing well. So what can you do to still have market share in a year from now, while so many domestic, for example, companies are actually very fast and very innovative and very, very cool. So we have worked with, for example, one of the largest beverage brands in the world that was present in mainland China, and they were expanding in the tea category, but they had problems because the local competition was so strong, so their products in this tea category were not performing well. So we went in with a mission to do a research and to understand what's happening. After the research, speaking with consumers, speaking with distribution experts, looking at the shelves of the supermarkets, online and offline, we came up with the recommendations, including the packaging change, including the positioning change, the flavors, and a lot more. So this could be one example to learn for China. So ultimately you're learning in order to perform better in this market. The other example could be learned from China. So we are working with a lot of international companies that want to adopt some of the Chinese experiences, both successes and failures, in order to shorten their learning curve at home. So for instance, we worked with a tech company from India that was imitating some of the functions of platforms such as Douyin and Kuaishou and learning from social commerce, gamification technology, engagement, subscription, etc. And they came to China with a mission to understand how is China able to monetize and build its creator economy. How are they motivating creators to actually start putting content out there? And all that was a very interesting project that took a couple of months. There were experts involved, where we invite experts from Chinese tech companies to talk and speak in specific terms about the approaches, about the some of the algorithms that they are allowed to talk about. There were also consumer tests, right, where you could actually see Chinese consumers in action interacting with some of these technologies and models. And there were our own kind of debriefing sessions to the top management and engineering team and marketing team and all these other teams in order to help this company to understand how Chinese ecosystems and tech firms in the space are actually activating and creating this new retail personalized technology. So after a couple of months, the team was trained enough to actually launch the product. Later on, they tested it in a domestic market and were quite successful with it, with further tweaks that fit local tastes. Right now, they are dominating this space in the country.
Let's get practical. I would like Ashley to share successful stories with her clients, focusing on foreign brands operating in China that are looking for growth.
We are supporting some of the international brands in China, and let me give you an example. A couple of months ago, we had a senior leadership team, the global senior leadership team from one of the world's largest sports and shoe and apparel companies was visiting China. Why the top leadership was here? They wanted to get inspired to see China's trends, to see what is a sense of beauty in China, what is the innovation, meet China's shakers and makers. And they wanted to also understand the tech side of things, how China is building and engaging with ecosystems. This was a trip, market immersion, for them to understand how is China different from the rest of the world and support China team on the ground better, and at the same time learn from the Chinese experience and implement it back home or in other global markets. So they brought their top designers, they brought their top finance people, they brought their top brand directors into this beautiful market immersion or China learning expedition. It was a tailored experience, and ultimately through meeting consumers, through meeting distributors, through meeting also and getting familiar with the culture and various experts and tech companies, they were able to form this better understanding. And this also translated later on in better collection, better connection, and better global vision for the team. Another example could be a international bank, one of the world's biggest, with its branches in China, who was looking to reposition themselves in the market. So they had a lot of social media accounts, there were different teams responsible for WeChat marketing, for microblogging, for videos, etc. And the cohesiveness of the voice was not really so strong. So they came to us to find out what would be the best strategy to move forward, and we helped them clean up the social media accounts, find one unified voice, and come up with the working process amongst all these different teams and agencies involved that would keep the voice consistent and also stay on trend and on brand and within the regulation kind of spectrum. Another example could be a company, again in the shoe industry, one of the world's biggest shoe companies. We have helped them to reposition themselves in the country, because for some time this company was very popular with slightly older people, well, just about 30-35, so not so much youngsters and Gen Zers. They were slightly older, and the company wanted to focus on the younger generation They wanted to be perceived as trendy, as cool, as trendsetters, not just a shoe that you wear for comfort. And we have conducted a market study and research, and then we've also implemented these recommendations with their social media teams, with their advertising teams for 2 years, to make sure that these recommendations actually find their way into the organization. So today, this company, very happy to report, is one of the most successful international brands in China. They are trendy, they are cool, they are colorful, they are everything you want it to be. And China is one of the most successful markets for this brand globally outside of the home market, which is the US. So it's really, really cool, and I believe that the year-on-year revenue increased 270% in the first year. So big success.
China changes fast, very fast, even during normal times. What about during moments of crisis? What are the key changes that occurred in the digital ecosystem after COVID-19?
China's not the same after COVID. And digital ecosystems have transformed significantly. The life of people has changed a lot as well. So what are the key changes observed? First of all, rapid digitalization. That happened anywhere and everywhere in the world, but China was even faster probably than the rest of the world, with tech companies from Baba to Tencent to Baidu to Pinan to ByteDance to everyone really started creating very cool health consultations, symptom checkers. They all somehow expanded into AI tools for public health. And of course, the whole digital platforms also expanded. For example, the services through APIs became even faster, right? Meituan Dianping, they started doing innovative delivery methods, contactless delivery, for instance, and all that. So a lot of digital innovation with speed, with clarity, tackling the problems of the day. And today, some of these innovations still remain in place, and the expectations, for example, that you need to provide a service fast and personalized also remain there. So I would say the pandemic has definitely pushed everybody forward on this path to digitalization and personalization and excellence and human centricity. Another thing is, of course, the growth in online interactions. So remote working tools were booming everywhere and anywhere in the world. China is not exception. So Ding Talk was booming, and today we also have more and more people that work, I wouldn't say fully flexible, but they do have a lot more kind of digital tools. And the same thing with consultations, for example, medical consultations. You can go to Ping An Good Doctor to consult your physician and get treated, and this has stayed. So a lot of services, a lot of work, a lot of consultations are right now still provided kind of online, and that started very strongly during the pandemic. Another thing is, of course, the digital infrastructure itself has significantly improved. Better AI solutions, stronger cloud, all that has been happening during the pandemic. So today we have better 5G networks and data centers and other infrastructure that supports the ecosystem. Today it is still in place and it's still developing. Another important thing is, of course, consumer behavior. So the lockdowns were very, very hard on people. There were good times, there were bad times during the pandemic. And at times life felt completely normal, at times it was very disrupted, but the consumer behavior changed. People want experiences just like anywhere in the world. People really care about health. People don't want to just shop, they want to buy emotions. A lot of people are very concerned with their mental health, and that has also become a very big indicator in what we're seeing today in China with the dampened mood, right, and very weak consumer sentiment at this particular moment. Previously, before the pandemic, I would hardly know a friend personally who has psychologist or a life coach, but today out of 10 of my friends, let's say in Shanghai, 6 or 7 have their monthly sessions with a psychologist, a life coach to help them with their mental well-being. So big changes, big shifts are happening here as well.
China is among the most attractive and lucrative market in the world. Do Chinese companies only focus on their domestic market? Local companies are increasingly motivated to go global for several key reasons, reflecting both strategic ambitions and responses to domestic challenges.
Chinese brands going global. Indeed, today this is the biggest question on every business person's mind. How to chuhai, how to exit and enter international markets. Doesn't matter whether you are a big business or a small one. Everybody's thinking about it. Why? Well, local market in China is a little bit less exciting compared to before. The consumer sentiment is down, the economy is slowly recovering. It's going to take a while despite the government action in recent weeks and months. Secondly, there's a lot of regulation, so people just don't want to keep all their buckets in one box. They want to go global. They want to try other markets. So how do they do that? If you're a small business, very often you are, for example, a factory owner from Guangdong, you are a second, third generation business owner, and you are taking your business, create a brand. Very often you register it in Dubai, you register it in Singapore, Southeast Asia, and ultimately you launch it in a new market. Very often these companies go to places like Southeast Asia, the Russian-speaking world, Latin America, not US or Europe, because these are the markets with a bit more geopolitical tensions, and it seems a bit more difficult to succeed there. But nonetheless, sometimes when the company does not have direct Chinese affiliations, they are also present in, Australia, in the US and other markets. So this is if you're a small business, you have, for instance, factories, you just start a separate brand, and you very often do not even have affiliation, again, with your Chinese headquarters. If you're a bigger company, well, there's typically for instance, technology, right? There's typically some app, something that you want to bring out to this world. Or for example, you have a bubble tea, or you're a cosmetic brand. So these kind of companies, they go international as well. And we see a few notable examples. When it comes to innovation and technology bucket, we see companies like Xiaomi that dominate global mobile phone market. We see companies like BYD and other Chinese EV cars like NIO that also start dominating some parts of that value chain. We see Chinese battery brands. We see home appliance brands. So all of them are going out, and what they can bring is cutting edge technology coupled with affordable price. Affordable, reliable, high quality stuff. The second thing is a lot of soft entertainment. So today, for example, if you play games, chances are you're playing some of the Chinese games. So it is mobile gaming, any kind of entertainment, even micro dramas. You probably heard that micro dramas are very, very popular in China, in the country. So they are producing them locally, but right now they also started translating them into English and other languages, launching them as part of an app, promoting them on platforms such as TikTok or let's say YouTube or IG, and then getting to the international audience. Beyond all that, the real businesses, for example in F&B, right, from bubble teas to cosmetics to whatnot, they are also starting headquarters, international headquarters, or opening branches all around, from hot pot restaurants to Luckin Coffees, to Manor Coffees, and more. So this is happening as well. For some industries, it is more difficult because of the protectionist policies. For some industries, it is easier to exit right now. But I think the biggest resistance today is that international markets are not all on the same page with how to receive the Chinese product. Some still believe that Chinese products means low quality. Others are afraid that there are some difficult business practices involved, or some of the software can be compromised. But in general, more and more people around the world that experience Chinese software, hardware, and other products and services, they realize that actually it is typically great service, good value for money. So I am very certain that we're going to see more and more international Chinese brands, and soon they're going to dominate more industries, maybe also in some of the unusual sectors like luxury and more. So let's all stay tuned for that.
China's digital ecosystem is a complex interplay of dramatic growth, technological integration, and regulatory oversight. Foreign brands are deeply connected to this ecosystem in order to access the vast market. At the same time, Chinese brands are also exploring ways to go global. Geopolitics and the ever-changing landscape make all these very complex, but those who find a way to navigate it will reap significant benefits. Thank you, Ashley, for your insights. That is all for today. If you like the show, please leave a review. And if you'd like to come on the show, connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find more details in the show notes. Cheers.
The world is stuck in a hard place. They are stuck in a split between the two world's great superpowers, the United States and China.
What you might call multi-domestic strategy, which means that they customize the products, they customize the marketing strategies.
And they would all say, Thompson, musukashi, very difficult to do. I don't know,